insurance.
Like a page with every word highlighted.
Only pay for what you need at libertymutual.com.
Liberty, 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 liberty.
Liberty, 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 liberty.
Divine Intervention is online at yourfortdodge.com, on Twitter at JMike1400.
And Sam Clovis joins us. I got to get a job like that, having a big booming voice and advertising for Liberty Insurance or any damn thing, really. I think I could do it, Sam. What do you think?
I think you could too. I'd vote for you. So
I appreciate that. Sam Clovis, of course, is the former national campaign chair of the Trump election in 2016. He has run for the Republican nomination for the Senate in our state. He has a long history as a Air Force fighter pilot and an educator, and perhaps most important, a radio talk show host over in Sioux City. So we welcome Sam once again. Sam, I've been thinking about it. I've been thinking about this Biden thing in the showdown that he's having with Vladimir Putin. And of course, Putin is almost openly contemptuous of Joe Biden, as he was about Barack Obama. I mean, if you recall, Putin really thought that Barack Obama was some kind of girl. He did. I mean, he talked about Obama in the most contemptuous terms. And I got to thinking about how Democratic presidents in the last 20, 25 years have handled foreign crises, and they don't seem very good at it. I'll start with Bill Clinton. With the Rwanda crisis in 1994, anywhere between 500,000 and 1 million people were savagely killed in Rwanda. Right. Clinton, all the time, told us he didn't know anything about it, but of course he did. He was lying to us. Bill Clinton lied. Do you believe that, Sam Clovis?
Well, it's interesting. I was watching the History Channel, the big Doris Carnes thing on Lincoln, and of course they had a trailer in there for critical decisions that presidents have to make, and who other than Bill Clinton is going to be the person who narrates that particular show or that series, whatever it is. And I'm sitting there thinking about the fact that they've got Barack Obama, who spoke on the Lincoln thing, and I sat there and thought to myself, I says, that the History Channel is really showing its true political colors here with the people that they have commentating on these various series that they have here, and every time that Barack Obama came on there, one, I don't think he knows squat about history. And two, that it was just fascinating to me that how vapid and vacuous he is, and what he had to say. I mean, some of these people are true scholars, and I know who they are. I've seen them in action before. But to have a person like Barack Obama sitting there commenting on historical issues, given his particular proclivities toward race, it was astounding to me that the History Channel would even, because he has no credibility in that area. And so it's just, I don't know. Just because a person gets elected president doesn't necessarily make them an expert on anything.
No, it really doesn't.
Other than being a good politician. So
Barack Obama was a good politician. Bill Clinton.
Yes, he was. Yep.
And I've always said this about Bill Clinton: men and women of Clinton's generation, and that would be you and I, see him entirely differently than women of our generation. Women of our generation seemingly love the guy. He was a charmer and all that sort of thing, and he was always winking at somebody, usually some girl in the audience. But I always saw him as a lime green leisure suit leaning against the bar, checking out the babes, And half the time he was looking at somebody else's girlfriend. That's always the way I've seen Bill Clinton, and there's nothing that's happened in all the intervening years that lead me to believe that he's anything else but a lime green leisure suit. Now, he's a talented politician, that's for sure. But that's something that talented politicians and lime green leisure suits have in common. But I want to just finish up here, and I'm going to let you have the floor, of course.
No, that's right.
Bill Clinton went to Kigali, the capital city of Rwanda, in 1998 after this horrific massacre was over.
Right.
And he
Right.
apologized, and he landed in the airport, and he never left the airport. He never left the airport. But he
Right.
apologized on the tarmac for not seeing the massacre coming. Another gigantic lie. He knew about it the entire time.
Yeah.
Samantha Power, a Pulitzer Prize winner in the Obama administration, and who has been telling us about genocide for years, wrote a Pulitzer Prize winning book really about that Clinton had full knowledge of what was going on, and he didn't act because it would have affected him domestically in the political arena. It would have affected his poll ratings. Now, I'll fast forward real quick to Barack Obama. Remember his thin red line, his bright red line, the bright red line he had in Syria.
Right.
Well, you know, Putin's in Syria now. What a surprise. They walked right over Obama, and all of a sudden, the bright red line was gone, and over 400,000 people, maybe 500,000 people who were opposed to the regime in Syria were murdered, and many tortured to death. And Putin wound up in Syria. Now, one of Obama's acolytes, Ben Rhodes, wrote a book called The World as It Is. In other words, there's just nothing that Americans can do about these sorts of things. So now I'm fast forwarding to Joe Biden. Here is a direct threat in Central Europe to everything we believe in by a thug and a bully. And he has already identified people in the Ukraine he wants to kill once he takes the whole country. And what's Biden doing? Well, he's going to make things tougher on us.
Well, I think all you have. I wrote a note to somebody today about that very issue, and what I wrote in the note was that we can sit there and take a 30,000 foot view of what's going to happen in Ukraine if the Russians roll in there, and they will roll in there.
Oh yeah.
And you know what? Nobody's going to do anything about it. Now, all of the sanctions in the world, all that's going to do is drive up the price of fuel, and maybe the ancillary effect will be $5 gasoline instead of $4. And so I think that this is we could be there as Johnny on the spot rescuing the Europeans with liquid natural gas. We could be going over there and selling our oil over there. We could be doing all of these things as a net exporter of fossil fuels, but no, we don't want to do that. So what we end up doing is, and because we as an administration, and I would say this generally, that if you had a Donald Trump or even a George Bush in the White House, you would have a lot different behavior by the players that there are around the world. And because those people truly believed that when we said something, we meant it.
We used to
I think they look at Joe Biden, or they looked at Barack Obama, and they looked at Bill Clinton as people who they could say whatever they wanted to say politically, knowing full well that they weren't going to take any action. And I think and the other part of it is, we don't have the allies in Europe on our side on this thing. The Germans aren't going to step up and help. They're not going to do that. The Brits have got the English Channel between them and the continent. They're not going to do anything. And then the people that are most likely to want to step up and do something are the people who have lived under the thumb of the Russians before. And I think that's unfortunately that's not the set of allies that we're going to need to deter Vladimir Putin from doing anything.
Well, I still get a chuckle. Biden does this. Obama used to say it all the time. They continue to believe that the world will follow us on climate change action.
You got it, yeah.
Is that out of space or what? It was crazier than hell when Obama said it. And Biden still creeps it out every now and then.
Well, but look at the three nations that are the worst polluters in the world: Russia, China, and India. The three largest polluting nations in the world. And do you think that they're going to change just because we say, well, that we're going to stomp our feet and go to the teacher and say they're not doing what they're supposed to do? Well, what's the teacher going to do about it? Nothing, because there is no teacher. There is nobody there to enforce, or the people that are there to enforce are complicit. So there's nothing that's going to happen.
No, there's absolutely nothing that's going to happen. Putin, on CNN, no less, there was an old interview with Putin where he was asked by a really naive reporter if he was afraid of NATO or concerned about NATO because they were put together as defensive alliance, and Putin laughed right in the guy's face. And this was a couple of years ago, but it was on television just last night. Putin laughed right in the guy's face, and he said something like, "Defense, huh? I don't see much defense lately." He'd already invaded Georgia. He was already in Syria, and this guy's talking to him about NATO and the defensive alliance. Yeah, right. Yeah, that's really cool.
Well, I just don't see. I just don't. Maybe I'm wrong. But I just don't see the Biden administration being able to do anything to dissuade Vladimir Putin from doing exactly what he wants to do. And I think Putin is willing to roll the dice that Biden won't do anything.
No, he won't. No, absolutely not. But the tribal nations have got $1.7 billion in tribal water rights settlement from the Interior Department. There's something we can look on with pride. We're just going to kick each other around here because one side thinks they're better than the other, or that's all there is to this. I don't recognize my country. Better men than these ran the country not that long ago.
Well, it's like the line that I use all the time is that we stand on the shoulders of giants. Yes. And we need to appreciate that. And the thing that I look at is our generation, Mike, we have not done a very good job of providing leadership for this country. I would say that our generation, and perhaps it's perspective, perhaps it's there are other things that maybe I don't take into account, but I don't look at our generation as having provided very good leadership in this country at all.
No,
if you look at Bill Clinton and George Bush and Barack Obama, and I would say the one exception would be my guy that I think that he did provide certainly an alternative. Now, good, bad, or indifferent, he did a tremendous amount to. He did what he said he was going to do, to his credit, and I think that's remarkable. But again, our generation, I don't think, has done a very good job of leading the nation.
No. Everybody. Well, I kind of was excited to have a baby boomer president, Bill Clinton. He was a disaster. He was an absolute disaster. George W. Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
And then we had Trump. Obama, I guess. I don't know if he was a baby boomer or not. Maybe he was too young. But then we had Trump. And I was going to ask you about Trump. He made threats as well. He told the North Korean leader that there was going to be a firestorm like you've never seen, or words to that effect. But then he wound up saying that he was a great and close friend with this little weirdo. That probably wasn't Trump's finest hour. What do you think Trump would have done in this particular regard?
Well, I think one that there would have been behind the scenes, there would have been a lot of arm twisting in NATO. We would have gotten the Germans up on the front line. We would have gotten NATO to respond in a relevant fashion. The whole sense, I think, and I'm going to give you a long answer, so I
right.
apologize.
That's fine.
But I think that the notion that we would have had and we would have gone forward with would have been the one of containment. The Ukraine is a country. Ukraine is a country that is like Poland and like Latvia, Estonia, and Lithuania. They've all been doormats for the great conquest of Europe over and over and over again.
Of course.
And so they've had more tank treads back and forth than about any other countries in the world. And so the issue of containment is critical there. The other part of it is we would have had a totally different economic structure in place. The Europeans would be less dependent on Russia for fuel, and because we would be able to provide fuel at a international rate that would be much lower than what OPEC is charging or what the Russians are charging right now. So I think that the economic circumstances would be different. And the other part of it would be is that we would make it very clear that there is a red line and there is a way that you can cross that red line. And if you cross that red line, we're going to arm the Ukrainians. And that is the thing that I think that Putin feared more than anything, was the fact that we would arm the Ukrainians. And I think that would be very difficult for the Russians to then go in there, because the cost to Russia would be much higher. And that then becomes a real issue. Can you afford it? And it's not just, can you afford it economically, which I think would be a stretch for the Russians, but also can you afford the blood? And whether you like it or not, with the satellite coverage, with 24/7, with the ability to provide information, you cannot keep your society closed off from the news from the front. Believe it or not, that's what got the Russians out of Afghanistan, was the body count. And that I think has changed. That has changed for every country, except perhaps those that are on the interior of Africa, where getting that information is very difficult, and then transmitting that information is difficult. But I think that there would be a lot of different barriers to Putin that do not exist right now if Trump were president.
Well, that's I know it was a mistake to put Biden in office. I mean, he was just the candidate who
going in because the people that he's quote unquote liberating are people who hold the same ethnicity or the same language or skills or whatever the same background as the native Russians, and that's the excuse that's being used. And what you have to remember for a Russian is there's one thing that a Russian, because of their xenophobia, they are worried sick about the strategic depth, and that is why they want to have this cushion of states around them, and that is to provide them strategic depth, and that's what they're doing. That's what they have never gotten over that. They have never. 1,500 years, that has always been the strategy of the Russians.
Yes.
Is to build strategic depth.
Yes, and it still is. Again, they haven't forgotten the Mongol invasions, for God's sake.
No.
By the way, the Mongols have that is a topic in itself. If you're interested in history, not many people in the United States, I think, have been taught about the Mongols, but they were. Let's just say that they were not particularly respectful of other ethnic groups. Ruthless, and
yep.
They never settled anywhere. Really, they were a warrior. I don't even know if a warrior nation. I was going to describe them as a tribe.
They were nomadic warrior tribes is what they ended up.
Yeah, they were. It's fascinating reading. Anyway, speaking of fascinating, Sam Clovis is always fascinating and interesting. Thank you, Sam.
You bet.
All right, take care of
yourself. See you next week.
Yes,
Bye-bye.
sir. Yeah, we had Sam Clovis on Wednesday because of President's Day on Monday. So I hate to miss a week with Sam, so we brought him on today. This program brought to you by Blue Ribbon Pelham Waters at 612 South 32nd Street here in Fort Dodge. You may contact Blue Ribbon Pelham Waters by calling 576-6481 or online at www.ftwater.com.
This is Gary Rima, the voice of the UNI Panthers, and you can listen to exciting Panther sports right here on the Voice of Fort Dodge, AM 1400.
The sanctions are piling. Relax knowing Riley
Yes, he
Armstrong
has.
Plumbing and Heating is there for you 24/7. Take the worry out of winter with the Winter Weather Advisor on the Voice of Fort Dodge, AM 1400 KPFT. God, I'm so
you got your
stressed. It's
logo
a brand new year.
sweatshirt on. It looks good.
Yeah.
Actually, I've had
What is that? Meditation?
Christmas gift from the staff.
Cloud phone system with automatic more than 35 features.
If you want, we've got to make it yourself.
Switching to UMA is a cinch. Starts at $19.95 per month per user, plus taxes and fees. UMA. Now you're feeling it. Visit UMA.com. That's OOMA.com to learn more. UMA. Smart communications for the smarter business.
Well, I got a number of
Event
topics
is
listed.
online at yourfortdodge.com, on Twitter at JMike1400.
All right, this is AM 1400 KVFT, the Voice of Fort Dodge, and this hour brought to you by the Webster County Pork Producers. And of course, we have in the studio a Webster County Pork Producer by the name of Greg Hora, who's unusually humble today. How are you, Greg?
Well, it's cold outside, so it's nice to be in here today.
Yes, I've
been
been
doing
doing
well,
well, though. We've had it in the news all day that you were that there was an appointment, a change in your life. You were and Kevin Rasmussen, and I met Kevin for the first time a couple weeks ago.
Yes.
Nice guy from Clarion, pork producer.
Yes.
And the three of you, and one other man whose name I didn't recognize, I believe, have been appointed to what?
Well, what the announcement came out from was USDA, and this leads up to a national pork meetings that we as county pork producer leaders or state pork producer leaders, as we continue on to serve just not here in Iowa, but at the national level, we have in 2 weeks what we call the National Pork Forum, which is like a national meeting of pork producers from around the country.
Sure.
And this year it is in Louisville. So the announcement that your station and others are making with this recent news release from USDA is there's about 35 farmers from Iowa that are national delegates. Of course, as I've talked in this segment before, and your listeners know that Iowa has about 1/3 of all the pigs in the nation, which that means when we go to a national delegate meeting where we vote on certain resolutions or certain policies of our organization, that we have about 1/3 of the delegates.
Sure.
And so there'll be about 140 type of delegates there. Small states, obviously, like I'll just take a California or Arizona. They'll have about 2 delegates per state.
Yeah.
And I've been fortunate over the last 10 years, 12 years to be involved in the national pork activities, really 10 years, I should say, since 2012. So we tend to meet people from other states. As I've said in this station before, North Carolina is the second largest pig producer in the country as a state. Then Minnesota is third. And then you put Nebraska, Missouri, Illinois, Ohio, kind of those are that next mid-range level states. So there's big producers from all across the country to come together and talk about some of our national issues and some other activities that we do during the 3-day program.
The Prestige people are from North Carolina, right?
Originally, yes. South Carolina, North Carolina is where the Prestige family was from. They came out to Iowa in the early 90s. And back when I was working with the county farm bureaus in this area, I remember meeting some of the first people over in Webster City, Hamilton County area, when the Murphy family farms and Murphy Brown and those types of farm operations came from North Carolina out here.
Right.
And the Prestige family was one of those family farm businesses that started coming out here to grow their pig operations in an area where corn was cheap.
Yeah.
And that was the dynamics of the growth of the pig industry. We had plenty of land to grow corn, to place buildings, to have what we now call the sustainable products, which is the manure for crop fertilizer back on our crop ground. And that was some of the limiting factors out in North Carolina, South Carolina. High corn prices, lack of availability of corn, and the disposability of the manure. So anyway, then history has changed over the last 30 years.
Yes, it has. Of course, it always does.
And now Prestige is a name brand major business in the area.
Oh, yeah. Murphy, I haven't There used to be a Murphy feed mill up in Kasuth County, right outside of Algona, where I grew up.
Yes,
I don't know if it's still there or not.
it is. And so your roots there, a lot of your listeners know your background from your Kasuth County days and growing up. And
Long time ago.
yeah. But isn't it funny how you have that memory? And that was some of the early days of Murphy Family Farms or Murphy Brown. And then with some business changes, they went to Smithfield.
That's right.
Okay. And now, as I've spoke about in these airwaves, and we have a lot of good people involved with that organization at the county and state levels. But now that is Smithfield, which is owned by the Shuang Wei Company,
Which is Chinese.
which is the Chinese.
Right.
And yes, you recall out west of Algona, the feed mill, and that's a very big and very busy feed mill with Smithway. Much like some of the feed mills that I work with in my pig operation or other pig farmers work with. These feed mills are highly technical now. A lot of validations that have to be done, a lot of biosecurity that has to be done. So yeah, things change over the years, and we continue to see that in all segments of agriculture now.
All right, Greg Moore is our guest, and are you still the Webster County pork producers president?
Unless somebody else wants the job.
So Kevin Rasmussen, who I met a couple weeks ago, he's the state pork producer.
Yes.
So Kevin said, when he first became a pork producer, and they have a pork producers banquet at Starlight, the place was packed.
Yes.
Now there's not that many. We can all get into Willow Ridge. Really.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, things change on that, and a lot of county organizations in Iowa have different functions. And this year, as I just have shared with you, our county pork banquet is in 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Monday, March 14th, actually. And so we did not have it last year because of COVID restrictions. Like a lot of events that did not occur this past year. And now people are getting back and are really enthused about getting out and doing things. And as we all know, travel is becoming, a little bit more open now. Yeah. So anyway, I was glad that Kevin was able to be here a couple weeks ago. He is our new state pork producer president. He's followed up a lot of activities, and he's engaged in a number of things, which I'm really happy to hear. I've spoke about on this station before the times that I spent 5 years on the Cultivation Corridor, which is a consortium of businesses and organizations that Iowa Pork is part of, that look at business development and expansion in not just agriculture, but in some other areas, but with a heavy emphasis on agriculture. That's why Iowa Pork was involved on the board. Kevin took over my position when I wanted to change. Let somebody else do that for a while, which is really exciting to be around some of the key influence people in agriculture in the state of Iowa. When you are able to go to a meeting and sit with the president of John Deere or the president of Corteva or the president of Renewable Energy Group in Des Moines or Ames area, it's good to be a production organization like pork producers at the table with those people, so that they may only have some influence or knowledge of actual producers, farmers, or agribusinesses based on that type of engagement. So anyway, it was really good to have Kevin continue to be involved in that. And as we know, there's always challenges that are going to come up, and a lot of those things are unknown at the time that we talk about with policies or issues.
Yeah, I always enjoy going to the pork producers tent during the state fair. There's so many interesting stories down there, You get pork producers from all over the state, and I get a chance to talk to them, and they've all got, a different story and how they came about, and how long their family's been involved in the pork industry. It's such an Iowa story to me. It feels like I know all of them right away, and I have not, even though I've never met them in my life. But it's a nice thing being able to go down there. And anybody, I know we're kind of out in front of things here. We're still dealing with winter, but if you get a chance to go to the pork producers tent during the Iowa State Fair, by all means do. There's some good folks there.
Yeah, it's really exciting that we have that opportunity to, in that venue to meet not only with public, but serve our product and be happy about the products that we serve. Last year we had served the $2 pork burgers And it was interesting. You know, it was a celebration, I believe, 40 years of the pork burger. So we had, a big celebration of that. We actually served a lot of volume of pork last year, but our dollar amount was down, as in our what you would call the gate receipts were down. Because we sold $2 pork burgers, and a lot of places are selling $4 and $5 burgers at that price. But we wanted to recognize and thank people that have patronized us over the years, and so we sold a lot of pork. Didn't make a lot of money on it, but we sold a lot of pork a year ago, and it's interesting as we mentioned about
your product, buddy.
We have to, in all organizations. That are at the state fair, that's what they're trying to do is interface with not only consumers, but getting the message out, as you refer to when you interview or talk with people, I should say. Everybody has an interesting story, and we continue to hear more about that with, especially the advent of social media in the last few years, and what we do and how we try to communicate those messages.
Yeah, Greg Hoare is our guest. He's with the Webster County Pork Producers and been involved in pork production for how many years?
Well, that's a good question. This is kind of as we all have things in our lives that we look at. So 40 years ago, 1982 is when I graduated from Iowa State. And I had already bought some breeding stock.
And what was your degree in? Just agriculture?
Yes, it was. At that time, the General Farm Program of Agriculture down there was called Farm Operations,
Right.
4-year degrees. Now at Iowa State, that's called Ag Studies. And so I have a little bit of different slant, but those of us that were in the farm operations program at the time was pretty much gave you the capability to have the most general type of classes that you wanted to. You didn't have to specialize in agronomy or specialize in finance and banking or specialize in animal science, for example. But it's at Iowa State right now, and I'm going to be down there on Friday of this week for a committee that I serve on at the state level with the research people and funding from the legislature regarding livestock animal health, which is called the Iowa Livestock Health Organization. And so it's interesting to see what goes on with regards to not just the swine industry for research projects going forward, but also with the beef industry and poultry industry. Because, those are the main stays of Iowa's economy.
Yes, absolutely.
And as I say that, it's interesting as I sit here today to your listeners, and I always try to be careful not to throw out a lot of numbers, but today is kind of a monumental day in agriculture circles. And I know those that listened an hour ago to Sam Clovis. Sam is very well read, very well traveled, super sharp on the geopolitics, as you could call that. Today in agriculture, we're hitting some all-time highs on prices.
Good.
It really is interesting to talk about beef prices, for example, 16-year highs. Now, what does that mean in the grocery stores? Well,
More higher prices. Yeah.
we're going to probably see it. We're going to continue to see what we hear from the inflation. We hear about.
Why is that happening? Why are the prices in the grocery stores so high?
Yeah, well, I think there's a lot of factors, and you had some of our meat managers from different retail places here in town to come in. They'd probably number one talk about the base price of the goods, and yes, base price of pork and beef is pretty darn high right now. We have hit some 8-year highs in pork prices just in the last couple of days. Matter of fact, we had some prices that we hope does not deter consumer demands. But as I've said in this station before with you, somebody around the world is going to buy it at this price.
Sure.
And those inflationary aspects, we're going to have to, as consumers, get used to. Now, as you ask what is driving it, well, you also know, and your listeners know, in the economy right now, a lot of places are not just raising their wages $1 or $2 to get employees; they're having to raise their wages $3 or $4. Much like we hear with one of the legislative activities this week about daycare workers and how many kids one daycare provider can handle. I think some of that's due to some inflationary aspects. because we have a shortage of not only daycare providers, but of daycare workers. And so their wages are going up. Grocery stores, they're also feeling the effect with trucking, something that you and I know in our backgrounds, but the costs of everything. And I'll just tell you, as farmers this year, we're going to be faced with $3.50 diesel fuel prices this spring.
Oh, easily. It was $4 down in Ames the other day.
Yeah, and those of you that have watched the news over the last several days, you see certain news reports on the West Coast or East Coast of $5 a gallon gasoline, and we hope that it doesn't get to that degree here in the Midwest.
Depends on what happens in Eastern Europe. That's
There's
the first thing that's going to
Yeah,
happen.
there's a lot of geopolitical things going on right now with agriculture. I just started to speak about the high beef and high pork prices. Milk also is about $20 a hundredweight, which that's a very profitable level. You go back to 3 or 4 years ago when a lot of the Wisconsin dairies were shutting down, and some Minnesota, eastern Minnesota dairies were all shut. Milk was down around $12, $14 a hundredweight, and milk price supports were not able to keep even some of those farmers or those dairy people in business. Corn and bean prices, we're hitting some monumental numbers right now. This, once again, the geopolitical activities, the drought in Argentina and Brazil, making a huge impact on that right now as they're harvesting beans down there now. They're short of beans. The Chinese in the last 3 weeks have bought more beans from the United States than was anticipated.
Good.
Well, it's driving up the price of beans and the demand.
Why are the Chinese doing that?
Good question. I want to pass along one information from geopolitics area about the Chinese and their meat consumption and meat utilization. Is number one, I think they're buying it because they're rebuilding their hog herd from the African swine fever. They're continuing to rebuild.
Is the fever over with now there?
No, it's not over with. There are still some isolated areas that they cannot recover back to levels that they want to. And it's a very broad-minded government and broad-minded citizenry over there that they want to ensure, as you said before in our conversations, is if people have food in their belly, they're probably not going to have enough pricing on the government.
That's right.
And so,
And if they don't, there's going to be a problem.
yeah,
Bill Horn had that great saying a number of years ago.
he did.
Yeah, if people are hungry, how did that go? If people are hungry, they'll do practically anything. But if they see their children hungry, they will do anything.
Yeah, yes.
Words to that effect. I can't remember the whole thing. I never thought I'd forget it.
Yes.
It's profound.
Well, here's one that I just heard with RFD TV and Agra Pulse, which is a news marketing information. So right now, China is in the process of building 900 cold storage warehouse facilities. Now, 900 is a large amount. Okay. Now 1.3 billion people. They have a lot of different systems that they deal with in their geographic area. But these 900 cold storage facilities in China are going to be ensuring that when they bring in imported meat or imported food products, that's either chilled or frozen, that they can then sanitize for biosecurity aspects and have ample supplies on hand. Okay. So first of all, 900 large. I mean, you think out here southwest of Fort Dodge, going towards Moreland, White Transfer, the Crimmins family, they got some big storage facilities. Well, those would probably be small to medium compared to what these Chinese are building. And I've been fortunate to be to some ports to see large cold storage facilities, highly automated and highly technical inside. But what the Chinese are now claiming they're doing is, once again, this goes back 2 years ago to COVID, 2 full years ago already, is they're claiming that because of some importation of food products, that's how the coronavirus originally started in China.
Really?
Well, yeah, but do you believe it's a smoke screen?
I'm ready to believe that.
Yeah, I mean, if you
I don't. Unless I hear it from an authority like you.
Well, I just quoted my sources.
Okay.
RTTV, and Anchor Pulse.
Yeah.
Yeah, they have their boots on the ground,
Yeah.
just like the U.S. Meat Export Federation with our ag alliances that we have all across the world. They follow closely what's going on, and obviously, if China is going to build up their stocks of meat and food inventories for the people, America wants to have a foothold in there to provide those countries, the products that they need. But there's kind of two sides to that story I'm telling. Number one, it's about they want to have better insurability that the products they have do not contain any viruses. Okay, that might be the smoke screen. However, the big story there is they're going to be building up stocks of food.
Sure.
And we already know that China has major influences in South America and Africa, a couple continents where they have large production facilities of food that goes back to the home country. Much like we know here in this country, not in Iowa, but in a lot of states that have foreign land ownership that's more open than Iowa. China owns a lot of farm ground in Iowa, or excuse me, in the United States. But Iowa has foreign ownership of land restrictions. And so, anyway, it's kind of interesting, those aspects that go on from what we look at as the
Today of things to talk about. Is there anything that we should be talking about?
Well, there's a lot of things. Our Iowa legislature is going on right now, and there's been a lot of discussion recently about renewable fuels.
Absolutely.
And here we are with $100 a barrel oil. We're knocking at the door and talking about the ethanol industry. And the Des Moines Register came out today with an article. Donnell Eller, who is a agriculture writer. I know Donnell. I've had some interviews with her over the years and kind of follow her. She just reported in the news. There's a group out of Wisconsin that has done a little bit of a hit piece on the ethanol industry regarding the carbon footprint.
Really?
Yes. And as all
Out of Wisconsin.
yeah, well, they probably got funded by somebody, and then
Right.
they say, let's go run this carbon footprint study. And I did not read the entire article, still have it at home. But what the hit piece really is that ethanol is not as good for the environment as we're claiming. Now, we as corn farmers, we as soybean farmers across the Midwest are talking about what is our role in not only renewable energies, like taking oil from soybeans to make soy biodiesel, which can be a tremendous asset in the future. There are more plants online right now to be started in the next 5 to 10 years that would, in 10 years, could possibly use every bushel of soybeans we have in this country, about 4 billion bushels a year, for different products. And we know that the soy oil folks, through the Soybean Promotion Board and Iowa Soybean Association, there's over 1,000 uses of soybean oil right now. And the diesel fuel is only one component of that. Jetliner air fuel is another component. But going back to the ethanol, and I make reference to this of talking about the livestock industry in Iowa, how many jobs that supports. And in the pork industry, I know we use a figure of 147,000 jobs in Iowa, supported based on the production of pigs.
Now, is this pork producers?
No, that's not pork producers. That would be their trucking and the feed companies, banking, veterinarian services. Elanco up the road here. What did we just see in the paper beginning of this week? Or last week, I should say, Elanco was getting, securing another 35 jobs with $42 million worth of additional investment, with the state putting in some things. And that's what drives a lot of industries when we keep those type of jobs here, but the base products are food producing animals, or in Elanco's case with cats and dogs, with companion animals also. But the study spoke about the use of fuels that we drive with our tractors and our trucks and processing of ethanol as a negative when it comes to carbon footprint. But we as farmers know that once that seed is out of the ground and growing, that is using photosynthesis, bringing in carbon dioxide and going through that photosynthesis process. We're actually becoming carbon friendly at that point in time because we're growing a living plant. And as we talk about the biofuels or the renewable fuels, all you have to do is look on the roads, cold day like today, and you see all these trucks hauling corn out to the ethanol plants, whether it's Fort Dodge or feed mills, or the ethanol plant down by Gowrie. Webster County, we have 3 ethanol plants in the county. There's 47 in the state, and the Cedar Rapids area, as you well know, with Luke living over there. They called Cedar Rapids 30, 40 years ago when I lived in East Iowa, the city of 5 smells. No, not 5 seasons.
It was 5. They described themselves as a city of 5 seasons.
Yeah, but it was 5 smells.
Quaker Oats and
and AEM and Cargill and Louis Dreyfus, and then there was some livestock processing facilities at the time, which go on now from downtown Cedar Rapids.
Yeah.
But that's what drives economies of a lot of areas. But so anyway, as corn farmers and the renewable fuels industry, we have Monty Shaw, who is the leader, and a number of other people with Iowa Renewable Fuels at a state level, national level. We know that renewable fuels is helping solve the solution of the carbon footprint because we're growing living plants. We know we're helping solve the problem of the CO2 in the atmosphere because we have a cleaner burning product and it's becoming more efficient. With all these other products, as I mentioned a little bit ago, nearly 1,000 products used from soybean oil, which one of the newest one is artificial turf. As you think about natural grass growing, well, there's a lot of places. I'll just tell you, out here at Harlan Rogers, the baseball diamond, it's going to be all new artificial turf.
Really?
Yeah, I'm not involved in that committee right now. Dave Flattery and a number of others continue to be involved, not just from the former Harlan Rogers Development Group that I was a part of for a number of years, but the city drawing economic activity and future uses, especially for Iowa's total baseball program and new tournaments come into Dodge. We'll have a premier AstroTurf field out there, AstroTurf on the infield. There will be no dirt cutouts. And we have these type of products, all new synthetic grasses. And they have soybean oil in those. So that's just one of the many components that is derived from our crops growing in the area.
All right, Greg Orr is our guest. He's president of the Western County Pork Producers. I was going to ask you what the biggest threat was to pork production in this country, but I'm going to pause on that question. And I've asked almost all my ag people, and maybe I'm repeating the question to you. Maybe I've already asked you. The Biden administration is a pretty green administration. They don't seem to appreciate ethanol. They don't seem to be behind ethanol. Of course, ethanol is also key to our state. Ethanol, pork production, all those sorts of things. What are you hearing as far as the Biden administration's attitude toward ethanol?
Well, I think the big thing is that we want to have, as corn farmers, or diversity in agriculture, because the ethanol industry supplies a high-quality feed product to the pig producers and poultry producers, the distillers' dried grains, the DDGs. So it's a replacement for soybean meal in some cases with the dietary changes. But to answer your question, as corn farmers, we've been disappointed that we haven't been able to move the needle more on the 15% mandated blend amount. Right now, there's a 10% blend, and in Iowa, there's some funding that's going towards some of those facilities. And if Senator Kreinbrink was here, Tim Kreinbrink was here, he would be able to tell you, or Senator Jesse Green would be able to tell you, that it's not mandated that all gas stations, delivery points, have to put it in immediately. There's some grandfather clauses in there. And I've seen them, I don't call them because I don't follow it that close. But with the Biden administration, we are hoping that the use of the 15% blend wall can be raised from the 10% up to 15%, especially in areas of the country where we can use more in the Midwest. Yeah, it's probably more expensive to truck it all the way to California. We get that. But in areas logistics-wise, and you think about from Indianapolis to Chicago to down into Louisville, Kentucky, or St. Louis, over to Kansas City, Minneapolis, we got a tremendous amount of people driving in major cities that we could utilize more of the ethanol at a closer range than trucking it clear out to the east or west coast.
All right. What do you think? We'll get back to pork production. What do you think is the biggest threat to pork production in our country?
Yeah, that's a good question. And
is those lunatics keep attacking Iowa Select or what?
Well, I think
anybody that thinks I've been born registered about that guy who grew up in Iowa, and he lived in California. Now he's opposed to pork production. He was cuddled up pig.
Yeah. Well, I haven't.
Are you sick? You can't get a date.
Well, there's a lot of people cuddle up pigs.
Well, I don't have to be one of them. I've been around hogs my entire life. They're hogs,
Yeah.
I never thought I'd cuddle with them.
Well, to answer your question, and as I said in the first segment, that we're on some all-time highs right now of beef prices, pork prices. Hopefully, our retailers continue to move those products. We know that China, Japan, Mexico are going to continue to buy our pork and beef to feed their people, even at these higher levels. Usually, higher levels mean you ration out demand, but we haven't seen that yet. But to answer your question, just a couple minutes ago, the biggest threat to U.S. pork producers is if African swine fever would be detected in the United States.
That would be bad. We held off on it quite a few years.
We have. And I will tell you that when I was here 3 weeks ago, we talked a little bit about the Dominican Republic.
Yeah.
African swine fever has been diagnosed down there in wild feral pigs. We have people from Iowa. Actually, I know our state veterinarian from Iowa is part of the task force that's been to the Dominican Republic with USDA and the other arms of the federal government. Custom Border Patrol is on high alert with that. But, that's the biggest threat right now, that we would have a diagnosis of a problem in the United States, and then the implications that would have on our export trade. Now, as I say that, and finishing up here in our last segment, is we're already feeling some repercussions of this, not in the swine industry, but in the poultry industry, because recently the avian influenza that hit Iowa, I think 2014, that was very devastating. All we had to do is go west of here to Manson. The Moline family over there had turkeys, and they were devastated. And matter of fact, one of the young men, younger than I am, he testified in D.C. at Congress, talking about the problems that they had in biosecurity. We know that the egg factories by Vincent, east of Vincent,
Sure.
and we know what happened there when they
Millions, a lot of people don't even know there's millions and millions of chickens.
Yeah, and one of the after effects of that was the next year there was millions and millions of flies.
Yeah.
Okay, and we felt for the people, and I know people that live in Vincent.
Why was it? That was a big deal.
Well, because
of the chickens?
Yeah, 6 miles away, you
There were
had
all these chickens.
yeah.
Wasn't there something we could do about that, as I recall?
Well, there is some things now that are implemented because we learn
Yeah.
from experience. But
I remember seeing pictures of
But
it.
as I bring this avian influenza up, that affects or could affect the price of eggs with poultry laying facilities, could affect the price of broilers, the young birds that they raise to 6 or 7 pounds, and they take them to the grocery store and sell them for $5 to the consumers. So there's been 3 detected cases in the United States. The first one was Ohio, the second one was in North Carolina, and now just yesterday in Delaware.
This is avian influenza.
Avian influenza.
It kills chickens.
So, and once you have a positive case, you find a positive case in one barn, if you have 3 barns of birds, you're locked down. And chances are, I don't know the exact protocols, but they're going to have to start destroying or euthanizing birds on site.
Is Ohio a place where a lot of chickens are grown?
Well, I think there is, Mike. I mean, a lot of population out there.
Yeah.
And I know from my years of experience with some Ohio pork producers, and I'll see some in a couple of weeks at our national meetings. But you asked me the question about what's the greatest threat.
Yeah.
And these are threats to the food security, or as Americans have known in the last year, the food supply, the food chain supply. And any of these types of disruptions, do make a difference. So, there's not a big threat right now to consumer availability. And obviously there's no threat to human health because these are not pathogens that are passed on to humans. It's not in the birds, it's not in the eggs, and it's not in the, for example, in pork either. These are not pathogens that humans have to worry about.
All right, Greg Horace, our guest. As you were talking, I thought, man, I hope we're teaching kids about agriculture in our schools and even in our grade schools. Now, I know there's always the FFA type programs and all sorts of specific groups kids join. But really, I think this is should be general education statewide, certainly, or even across the country. Many people do not know how the food gets to their plate.
Yeah,
They
that's
don't appreciate it.
a good point. And I'm glad you reminded me of that. This is National FFA Week.
Great.
And as our Fort Dodge paper has had a number of things featuring those chapters around the area within this county and Calhoun County, Webster City, Humboldt, a lot of FFA chapters, a lot of diversity of programs, leadership training, job skills, and then maybe even some career goals and aspirations. Because we were saying this 3 years ago when we had maybe 4% unemployment, 3.5% unemployment. Agriculture was still hiring a lot. And now that we have some employment changes in the last year, it seems like more people are out of the workforce, but unemployment is low. And we don't have enough people that are qualified for certain jobs. And we have more jobs available than we have people in Iowa. But what a great training ground that the 4-H and FFA programs are for young people. And quite honestly, as farm kids that you and I were, and rural Iowa people that you and I were, it's important to keep young people in Iowa to maintain our schools, maintain our healthy rural communities.
That's right. Greg Moore has been our guest. He is president of the Webster County Pork Producers, very involved in agriculture here in the state of Iowa. And this part of the program brought to you by the Webster County Pork Producers. Greg, it's been very informative again today. You've got to be on here more. Boy, I keep telling you that.
As time allows.
All right, man. This is AM 1400 KBFT.
Elise and Carl needed a small business loan fast to order more equipment for their bakery. Elise
tanker trailer experience, or
3 years tractor trailer driving experience. Apply now at LINDE.com. Lindy is an equal opportunity employer.
AM 1400 KVFD.
Listen to this.
Making radio great again.
Keith Nicholas, our guest. Hi, Keith.
Morning, Mike. Or good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Yeah, hear that advertising. They're looking for truck drivers.
Everybody's looking for truck
Oh
drivers.
yeah, you got to have a tank endorsement, which I do, and 3 years of truck driving experience, which I do.
You probably make $100,000 a year.
Well,
I bet you could. I bet you really could.
well, if you wanted to stay out there,
Being a tank driver. I mean, them guys make a little extra money because it's hazardous materials,
yeah.
but they make good money.
Well, the hazmat guys really makes money.
Yeah.
You know, when I used to have a hazmat endorsement, I let it expire.
And you really don't need 5 years of college to be a truck driver either.
No, I made the year before I started here. I made $60,000 and I worked 8 months. All in manure, obviously. All in manure out of the business chicken houses, running in farmers' field. That's what we were doing. So yeah, the last time I made this much was a long time ago.
Truck driver is a lonely job, but
you get used to it.
you get used to it. Them guys are a breed of their own, but boy, they're not around. Boy, we'll be in trouble.
I don't. You know, tank drivers usually don't go.
No, they're home every night.
Yeah,
Mostly.
I mean, the guys that haul pork. When years ago when I hauled pork, I hauled it on a cart. They still had a plant up there, and I hauled it clear to Miami. Now that, I pick it up on Friday. I had to be there. Sometimes late Friday, and I had to be there Monday morning in Miami. That's 1,800 miles in a little over 2 days. Now that is a haul.
I was reading the advertisement for Prestige, and you don't have to get off the seat. I mean, they don't want you out of the truck. You get in the truck, you back into somebody's yard for diseases and stuff. You back into the dock. They load the hogs. They do everything. They close the door. You pull away and you leave and go back to Prestige and you back in and they unload it. You never leave the seat.
I'm way too old to haul hogs.
Yeah, you just have to drive.
Yeah.
That's all they want you to do is drive. It's not, you can't get out of the truck because of the diseases.
Yeah.
And I can believe that. So that would be a bad job.
That would be a bad job to have. I don't know.
I'm too old to.
I'm
ready for retirement.
Are you ready for retirement? You're not going to run again.
No. We're working with the precincts right now, and we sat down. We hired 5 people to do our precincts. We had to realign the precincts for some reason. And we sat down.
You don't know why you had to realize?
No, we just sat down a thing in Des Moines. There has to be 7,200 people in your district, so they had to figure out 7,200 in all 5 districts, and they figured that out, and they got it within 1%, I guess. Sent it down there. Well, the state sends it back, and I'm not even in my district now. They shot the whole thing up. If I was going to run next year, Bob and Nikki and me would have to run in this one district against each other. Then there's another brand new district in Fort Dodge. Yeah, if this thing comes into effect. And my district where I used to be in goes all the way from Humboldt to Dayton, Humboldt County to Boone County. And it never used to do that. It stopped on Highway 20. So the whole thing is just 2 supervisors are going to be in the county. They're actually going to have all the county, and there's going to be 3 inside the city and a little bit of the county. That's what they sent back. So we had a meeting today. We sent back. We denied that one.
Yeah, I bet.
And we sent ours back again, hoping they'll take ours. But who knows? I mean, the state wants to stick their nose in everything.
They do.
I mean, it's just sad. I mean, they figure that they know more about what we should do in Webster County than we do.
Oh, they do that because they're looking for ways to get money to the state.
I don't know. It's just sad.
Yeah. Well, the last thing you want to do is hear somebody from the states coming around. You know that.
Yeah. And then they come up and say, here's going to be your precincts. And then, well, we don't even have a polling place there. Doreen's pulling her hair out. We don't even have a polling place there. We can't have one there. So it's really frustrating for her.
Yeah, I don't know why they think they gotta. So the state has decided that they're going to run the precincts in our.
Well, they sent us back what they wanted. We sent down what they wanted. They turned that down. They sent back what we wanted. They sent back what they wanted. We turned that down. Now we sent ours back again and hope they pass that. If they don't, we're going to be stuck with theirs. And it's all got to be done by March 7th, because March 7th, you can start taking out your papers to run what district you want to run in, but nobody knows what the districts are yet.
Well,
I mean, really, and nobody knows what the districts are yet, so nobody knows where you can run.
and you have to take them out on the 7th. They got to be back by the 21st or something. So you have like a week and a half to get all your signatures to figure out where you're going to run and how you're going to run.
That's kind of weird.
It's sad. I mean, it's really sad. They should just left it alone. It was working.
Has the state always drawn the districts?
No, I don't know what the deal is with why they're changing the districts. It all goes by population. Population changes the districts.
Yeah, sure. Yeah. Well, I don't have any problem with that, but what do they got there now?
No, but they realigned it. It's not good.
It's not good.
Isn't that pretty cool that Kim Reynolds is going to do the response to the presidential?
I thought so.
That's amazing. Our Iowa governor is going to get that. I mean, that gives her a pretty good kudos.
It does.
I mean, for what she's done for a lot of people don't like what she's done, but probably worked.
Well, if there was a Democrat there, there would be a lot of people that didn't like Democrats.
Yep.
That's just the way the world works. You can't let that play in your mind. There was some liberals on my Facebook page today.
I suppose.
And they were all wondering why in the world Kim Reynolds was giving.
But what kudos for Iowa?
Well,
I mean, has that ever happened?
No.
Probably never.
But I got on that page and I said, Kim Reynolds is a damn good looking woman. And appearance counts. It does.
No, she's just a damn good governor.
And she's a very good governor. Yeah, she is, but you can't take that away.
No.
Ugly people can't run for office anymore.
Damn it, I'm in trouble.
Yeah, you're good thing you're retired. Only Mark Campbell can
There you
run
go.
anymore.
Yeah. He's got that drive going.
Yeah, he's got that. He's got that drive, Esquire look. That's it.
He's got drive, and I got Chris Light.
So
that works.
Nikki's okay, but those
Me
days
and
are numbered.
Nick probably on the fence.
No. Appearance counts.
Me and Bob are out.
Yeah, that's right. Appearance counts.
That's pretty neat that she gets a good response.
I think it is. And sorry, I didn't. She was in town not long ago, and she was going to come in here to the studio and do a quick interview.
Really?
At the last minute, she bailed.
No, tomorrow night, Joni Ernst is going to be here.
Yeah, I'm going to have her on the air on Friday.
Okay.
Yeah, I guess she's staying in town.
Really?
Yeah, where's that?
Fort Frenzy.
At Fort Frenzy?
Yep, it's $50 per person, $75. It's a fundraiser. $75 for a couple, $50 per person. I believe at Fort Frenzy tomorrow night at 5:30.
Well, I'm the media. I get in free.
Probably will. And I gotta do that because there's a couple other guys with him that we have some. I want to pitch some stuff to them about some stuff we want done.
Yeah, sure.
There's a chance you don't have to go to DC. You got it right here.
Yeah, that's right.
That's where you make your cases right here and they're here.
Yeah. Do you like Joni Ernst? Do you think she's been a good senator?
Yeah, I think so. Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah.
Old Grassley, he's reliable as always.
Yeah, he's kind of a dinosaur.
But yeah,
he's really good for Iowa because he has so much seniority.
Yeah,
And that's the thing.
I think he's been in there 40 years.
Yeah, him and Arkin should have went out together probably, but they didn't.
No.
But no, Grassley's done a great job. He's good for Iowa because of all the seniority. Yeah, that's great. When he goes out, we'll be on the bottom list again.
Yeah, we will.
It'll hurt us.
Yeah.
And he can't last forever.
No, I don't.
He says he's going to run again. I can't imagine he would, but
Grassley's going to run for senator again?
I think so.
Is he going for oldest senator? Strom Thurmond, I think, served until he was 100.
Well,
99.
he'll be right there. But the guy's in pretty physical good shape.
Yeah. And he's mentally sharp.
Yes, he's mentally sharp. He's in good shape.
I get to interview him once a month.
Yep. Really?
I'm on the schedule. He calls every month. And his staff never asked for a list of questions I'm going to ask. They never ask for what topics I'm going to ask or cover.
They don't give you the questions you need to ask him.
No.
You get the questions you want to ask.
If they gave me those questions, I wouldn't need to.
That ain't going to happen.
Senator Grassley or not.
That's
But
right.
I'll tell you, I can ask him about anything. I usually go to his Facebook page and to his website, and I find something there, and I think I'm springing something on him, and he figures it out.
Yep. Oh yeah, yeah. He's been in there long enough. He knows what the ins and outs are.
Yeah.
And that's good. I mean, he's a great politician. There's no question about that.
I'm not his first media interview either.
No. And he knows what the questions are coming.
Yeah.
He's pretty versed on what's probably going to come.
Right. Yeah.
In the city, he knows that.
Yeah. Do you think Bing's a good congressman or not?
Yes, he's good for Fort Dodge.
Yeah.
Both those are good for Fort Dodge.
Okay.
They really are. I mean, this is the first time I've seen Joni here. I mean, but Randy's been here 5 or 6 times. I've probably been in the same room with Randy 5 or 6 times since he's been the senator.
Randy's real good.
Yes, I mean he's a people person, and he shows up and he'll talk to you.
I called him just the day before yesterday. I called his office and
Yeah.
and he got back to me and he said, Randy's in Israel, but as soon as he's back,
He will get back.
and he will.
Yes, he will.
Yeah, he's real good about that sort of thing.
And Grassley, I don't think I've ever talked to him personally.
Well,
I've
I
been
know
a supervisor for 12 years, but I've never really, I've shook hands, I've never really had a conversation with him.
I've been talking to Grassley in this,
Yeah.
radio since
That's right.
since mid-'80s. He still remembers.
Really?
Yeah, here I am, some guy in a little radio station out in Fort Dodge, Iowa, and he has all these big media heavyweights talking to him all the time.
But he still got.
But he gets on the phone, hi, Mike, how you doing?
Well, that's good.
Every single time. And it's, he asked me about something I might have done. He knows who I am, which is incredible.
Yes, it
Again,
is.
for a man who's 87 years old.
Yes, it is.
I forget who I am at the time, for God's sake.
If I wake up.
But that's pretty impressive.
Yes.
That's very, very impressive.
Absolutely.
I think the really successful politicians have that ability. My dad took a Yale Carnegie class years ago in the 40s. And he said the most important thing that a person likes to hear, according to Dale Carnegie, is their first name. And if you really want to have some influence, how to win friends and influence people, you always want to remember their first name. And obviously, Grassley has that ability.
That's why I'm getting out, because I can't remember my grandkids' names. They go, then you remember right away.
You remember Linda's name?
Yeah, I remember Linda's name.
Did she remember yours?
Yeah, once in a while she forgets it.
But no,
that's when we get a little older, we are remember getting a little bad.
It comes back to you, but it's there.
My son bugged me so bad to do something about my memory that I actually went and took one of those tests to see if I had Alzheimer's.
Yeah,
I didn't.
you didn't.
Yeah, he was sure I did.
No, I think you do too, but
No, I have old people's
They're old
disease.
people's.
I'm past 70 now, so I can qualify. Anyway, what's going on over at the county?
not too much. We met the Farm Bureau last night, and
Oh,
we went through all our budget with them, and the sheriff was there, and Doreen was there, and Nikki and Bob and I was there, and we talked about
A lot of issues. We started at 6 o'clock. We left at 8:30. So we
So
had
we
a
had-
long talk with them.
yeah, I guess so.
yeah. They had a lot of questions about the jail, and then if we're going to build a new jail, and the budget, and just all kinds of things.
Sure.
They're on top of things.
I wish those guys, if I could get those guys back on the air. Steve Peterson was on the air with me for 3
Yep,
years.
yep, he does a good job.
Great.
Yeah,
Yes, he's knowledgeable too. He really, really is.
Yeah, he got tired of doing it, so I
Yep.
haven't been
Yeah.
on for a while now.
Yeah,
he's good.
He said he had a pipeline go through his farm, and if another one to come through, he'd probably let him.
Well, he gets paid.
That's what he said. He says, I was one of the first people that, watched them when they were there. And he actually said this year, he had absolutely, he watched his yields, and he thought during the summer that some of the stuff he's looking at, he might have some bad yields over the pipeline, but in the end, it was the same across the whole field.
I talked with farmers around the first time that the pipeline came through. We had the head guy.
Yeah.
What is his last name?
It's been 7 years since that pipeline went across the farm.
Yeah. But anyway, I talked to some farmers, and they have bought second houses with the money they got.
Yep. He got paid
On the lake.
He got paid well, and he said,
they have to make you whole forever. He says, if you have damages and you can prove them, they gotta pay you.
Really?
Yes, so it's not just for the 5-10 years, it's forever. That's in the
law.
Well,
I really didn't know that, but yeah, that's in the law.
I didn't know it either.
No.
He says, no, you have damages. If you can prove you have damages caused by the pipeline, they're liable for it. They have to make you whole.
Well, now the big thing is with those carbon.
Oh, I know. That's going to be a big fight.
And I really don't. What is the whole carbon?
I don't know either. I've been to two meetings, and it's just the ethanol plants like them. They're going to be able to sell their carbon to them and be able to sell their product for more money because they're getting these carbon credits. And I don't know. It's a good deal. It's a bad deal. I don't agree with they come across. They get the IUB to let them do it. That if you don't let them come across your farm, they might be able to use eminent domain. I'm really not for that.
I'm not either. They used it till the last time.
Yes, and I'm not for that. I really am not.
I really had mixed feelings on that.
But the supervisors have zero control over that. Zero.
So they're calling it everybody.
The IUB gets gives them the thing, gives them the okay. We can't say no.
Yeah.
We can just protect what we have.
Yeah.
That's what we did with the pipeline.
Sure.
It's bad, and I hope they don't. They're probably. I can't see the IUB turning them down. I'd be surprised if they did.
Right.
I mean, I really would. I mean, I don't know if they're. I don't know what's going to happen, but I'd be surprised if they get turned down.
Yeah. I got to get somebody on and talk about that carbon thing.
And if they do, we just have to. We've already hired 2 engineering firms to take care of our stuff, and we're already ahead of the game there. So if they do get the approval, we have 2 engineering firms to watch our district tile and our gravel roads. And they'll be there to protect our interest on the ground going across.
I asked Bill Horn quite a while ago to be on, and he was.
Yeah.
He explained to me, but I can't remember.
No, it's over our heads. We're over 70. We're getting to be close to 70.
Well, I am. You're right behind me.
I don't.
Oh, that's right. I'm going to go out and have breakfast with old classmates.
I'm going to. I'll be there tomorrow at 10.
Okay. I went out. I think I went out last week, and I really had a nice conversation with the old Chimtech guy.
Yeah, he has. He's been talking about everything.
Oh man, he knows. I love cars.
Yeah. Oh yeah, and he knows cars.
He does.
Yeah, he does. Yeah, that's a good conversation.
Yeah, it is. But anyway, by the way, if anybody wants to ask the county supervisor a question, it's 955-1400.
Yeah, I probably won't be able to answer it, but.
Oh, you're pretty good.
I'll give him a shot.
You're pretty
I'll
good.
give him a shot.
You're pretty good, especially when it comes to farm stuff.
Yeah, I hope the county was out yesterday morning, sanding and taking care of the roads when it's icy. So sounds like I've never got any calls, so they must have done a good job.
Yeah, well, we probably saved a little bit on it.
Oh wow, we've done great. The gravel trucks haven't been out all winter.
Yeah.
Twice. I mean, we've had a couple times, and that's it.
Yeah, we had that big snow.
Yep, that wasn't really. We haven't seen the big snow.
Oh no, 8-9 inches we had that time. 10 inches in some spots. That's a pretty good snow.
Remember the 70s when you
God.
I mean, you had 5-6 inches every day.
When I was a little kid, I lived in a 2-story house. This is probably 1963 or 4. My mother took pictures of us. We lived in an old 2-story house, and the wind drifted all the way up to the roof.
Yeah.
And we, being little kids, we climbed up and around the roof, and she took a picture of us.
Yeah.
And she still got it somewhere.
No, that's weird, but that hasn't happened in the last 25 years.
Boy, we used to have some bad.
Oh, terrible.
Oh, that 75 blizzard killed a bunch of cattle, and then 79 was awful. And
we've been really fortunate. Like this year, we only had really one bad snow, and it was gone. And it was just we've had a really exceptional winter.
Yeah,
and we only got a couple of weeks left.
Yeah, that's right.
That's what's nice.
Right. And I've been talking about it just before the girls' state basketball.
Yeah,
we have some lousy weather.
Yep, and we will. It happens every year.
Yeah, well,
that happens.
I'm satisfied with what we had so far. This is what
It sure does. It's not bad out right now. It's like the wind ain't blowing. It's kind of nice out.
Wind is killer. We knocked down all the old farm spots, and we cut down all the old trees that were in the groves, and
it blows right through.
It does.
Yes, it does.
Yeah. We lost a lot of old farmhouses in 30 years. More than that, I suppose.
So we'll probably have to get the sheriff on here in a couple of weeks. We hired a firm to look into building a jail. When we get that back, then we'll have to start talking about that.
Building a jail?
Yes, a whole new jail.
Really?
Yes.
Well, let's see. The jail we had was probably built in the early 80s, wasn't it?
No, probably 70s or 80s, and then we remodeled it.
Because the White House was a bar. I remember a little
and then we
got a couple of bars there.
We just have a lot of problems with that right now. It's just
the old jail.
Well, it's not big enough. We got people farmed out. It's costing us. I think he said last night he told the Farm Bureau guys he spent $250,000 in housing prisoners out.
$250,000? Yeah.
And
where do we send them? Humboldt?
No, all over Iowa. Whoever will take them. I mean, really, that's how you get. It's all over Iowa. They said $250,000. He said it wasn't for COVID. We got COVID relief money for that because they can't get courts going. So if it wasn't for COVID money, he would have been in really trouble with his budget.
I think, this was some years back, but I think Calhoun County used to send their people over here, their prisoners or wherever they need to throw somebody in jail. They came to Webster County. I don't know if they still do that or not.
Yeah, our jail's full right now. We need jailers. We're down, I think, 7 people in the jail, so we can't really keep. You have to have so many jailers per prisoner, so we can't keep it full because we don't have enough jailers. So if you're thinking you need a job, you can get paid not much in jail.
I have a lot of
we're looking to the jail.
Yeah,
we really need people for that. One of the statistics Farm Bureau was really surprised at. How many people do you think are waiting to do their 2 days before they got picked up for speeding or drunk driving? You know, and you got to come in for 2 days to spend your time. How many people do you think are waiting?
I don't know.
How many do you think?
100.
800. 800 people are waiting to serve their 2 days or 3 day sentences to get it wiped off the books. We don't know place for them. 800. Yes.
Wow.
So you know how long it takes to go through those?
Man. I got tossed in the can once years ago, Blackhawk County Jail, because I was fighting with cops, which is stupid. But I did my time right then and there. They had just built the old Blackhawk County Jail.
He said the public health thing with the jail is terrible. We got a guy in there right now that tore the padded cell up the other day.
No,
yes, $12,000 worth of damage.
Oh,
yeah, you know, and it's just they're fighting every day with him, and that's a public health issue. You know, it's just a circle. They get him in there, he gets turned loose. He comes back, get him in there, he turns loose. So it's a sad situation.
Don't we have a medical place where these guys can go now or not?
No.
We still don't.
No, it's there's no beds for those people. You know, it's just tough. It's a tough situation. That's not.
It is a tough
Ann Meyer's doing a great job trying to get it straightened out.
Yeah.
And it's going to take some time.
We're pretty lucky to have. Well, we're pretty lucky to have the representative.
Yes, we are. They do a great job.
Ann's a good person, and
she's taken over that mental health thing.
And she has a big heart.
She's going to make it a big heart. She will.
I have every confidence. Every confidence. By the way, Tim and Ann will probably be in here on Friday. Sadly, when I talk about good representation, we're losing Keith in November, but that's just the way it is.
December.
December. Oh, you got to get somebody elected.
December 31st.
All right.
Yeah.
All right, Keith, thanks.
Thank you.
All right, this is AM 1400 KVS.
Divine Intervention is online at yourfortdodge.com, on Twitter at JMike1400.
Hi, I'm Randy Feenstra. It's hard to believe that my team and I have been your voice in Congress for over a year. Despite all the challenges we face, we continue to deliver on priorities that we all care about. I voted to protect the unborn, worked to secure our nation's borders, defended our Second Amendment rights, and supported Iowa family farmers. This year, my team and I will keep fighting for you and your families. My office is ready to help with any issues with the federal government. In our first year, we helped hundreds of Iowans with Social Security payments, passports, Medicare, and honoring our military heroes. If you or someone you know needs help dealing with the federal government, contact my office at 202-225-4426. You can also visit us online at feenstra.house.gov. I'm Congressman Randy Feenstra, and I look forward to talking with you soon.
Paid for by official funds, authorized by the House of Representatives.
Water stains on the shower glass. Try rubbing some shaving cream on them.
Tyler's cleaning crew knows every housekeeping trick in the book.
Handling timesheets now.
But they need a proper bookkeeper to keep finances tidy.
New equipment is a business expense, right?
Indeed can help them hire great people fast.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. Instant Match instantly connects you with quality candidates whose resumes on Indeed match your sponsored job description. Visit Indeed.
Be prepared with the Winter Weather Advisor on KVFD. We'll keep you informed on hazardous driving conditions, delays, and cancellations. The Winter Weather Advisor is brought to you by Riley Armstrong Plumbing and Heating. Plumbing and sewer emergencies don't usually happen during normal business hours. Relax knowing Riley Armstrong Plumbing and Heating is there for you 24/7. Take the worry out of winter with the Winter Weather Advisor on the Voice of Fort Dodge, AM 1400 KVFD. Your news, your town, Your station, KVFD News when it breaks.
Brooke Bickford, KVFD News. Well, it is very chilly outside. You can expect that to continue for tomorrow, as we expect some moderate to light snowfall as well into tomorrow night. Widespread travel impacts are not expected, but roadways may become snow-covered and slick at times, so just be cautious out there. That cold will be gone soon, and then it's time for the heat of August, and along with it, the Iowa State Fair. The entertainment lineup is heating up as well with the announcement of Kane Brown performing on August 18th. Tickets go on sale this Friday morning at 10 o'clock. Brown is going to be joining Nelly, Carrie Underwood, Brooks and Dunn, John Crist, and Skillet on the grandstand this summer. This week, Black History Month will be celebrated with an incredible lineup of speakers and events presented by Athletics for Education and Success, otherwise known as APHIS, and the Privilege Institute. The theme is Black Wall Street. That was a time of wealth and affluence for the Black community of Tulsa, Oklahoma in the early 1900s. Founder of APHIS, Charles Clayton, has teamed up with Dr. Eddie Moore Jr. for the event. He says the main purpose is to encourage success and wealth building and to inspire people that no matter where you begin, it is never too late to do great things. That discussion will begin with those who are currently in jail at the Fort Dodge Correctional Facility and at the residential halfway house about overcoming obstacles.
I've got a felon in my path that has turned my life around over the last 20, 25 years. Now, Tavor at one point, I got arrested and I've gone on to get his doctrine. Just hopefully we can motivate some of these men to say, even though right now you may not be in the right chapter of your life where you want to be, that book's not done. You can still write the greatest finish that you want and kind of motivate them hopefully to turn their lives around and stay on the right path.
On both Thursday and Friday, Clayton says there will be guest speakers at all of the elementary schools and the middle school throughout the day. He explains why it's important for young people to see people of all different backgrounds excelling in their lives and professions.
I mean, I think it's good for every kid to see those professionals and know that we have African Americans here in town that work at our hospitals, nurses and doctors, and we have professionals that work at the correctional facility, we have law enforcement. A lot of things that maybe just go unnoticed sometimes, really try to force that issue and get those people in those schools and in front of those kids.
Saturday is going to be jam-packed with uplifting speakers from the community. That begins with breakfast at 10. You can find the full list of events online at your...
This is AM 1400 KVFD, the voice for Dodge is 12 degrees above zero. That's our day's high. Wind chill factor temperature is down there right now, and it will be even more. I should say even lower overnight. It'll be 15 to 20 degrees below zero wind chill factor temperature overnight. Tomorrow, snow mainly in the afternoon with a high of 16. Wind chill factor temperatures around 15 degrees below zero. That's tomorrow during the day. Snow on Thursday night. Be aware of that. Wind chill factor temperatures 10 to 15 below. Friday gets a little better. Sunny with a high of 21. Saturday, even better. Sunny with a high of 41. Sunday, sunny with a high of 36. Monday, mostly sunny with a high of 40. And Tuesday, mostly sunny with a high of 48 right now in town. It is 12 degrees. Obituaries this hour brought to you by the historic Bruce Funeral Home here in town at 923 First Avenue South, as a matter of fact. The historic Bruce Funeral Home and Cremation Services can be reached by calling 576-5117 or online at www.brucesfuneralhome.com. Velma Ramus of Fort Dodge has died. She died on Saturday at the Paula J. Vapor Hospice Home at the age of 101. There will be a funeral service for Velma A. Ramus, again, who died at 101. That'll happen on Saturday at St. Paul Lutheran Church here in town. Obituaries this hour brought to you by the historic Bruce Funeral Home at 923 First Avenue South here in town. You may contact the historic Bruce Funeral Home by calling 576-5117 or online at www.brucesfuneralhome.com. Jim Kirsten coming up in just 30 seconds.
Central, you can help victims of sexual assault, domestic violence, trafficking, stalking, homicide, and other violent crimes. Proceeds from your purchases support the local shelter for adult and child victims who are fleeing from violence. The Kenan Central is where great deals can be found on quality items that are donated by the generous supporters of DSOC. You can also help by donating items to the Key, including clothing, shoes, furniture, kitchen, and household items. The Kenan Central, located on the corner of 11th and Central Avenue, Fort Dodge. Open Monday through Friday, 10 to 5.
this program brought to you by Blue Ribbon Pelham Waters at 612 South 32nd Street here in Fort Dodge. You may contact Blue Ribbon Pelham Waters by calling 576-6481 or online at www.fdwater.com. Joining us now from Iowa Central is, of course, Jim Kirsten. How are you, Jim?
Real good, Mike. Thanks for having me back.
All right. This is AM 1400 KVFD. Yeah, we're having Jim on today. We couldn't get him on yesterday. Jim, of course, a long-time, well-known Republican in our town, I should say, and he's been out to Iowa Central. How many years have you been out to Iowa Central, Jim?
It's about 20 years now.
Okay. All right. 20 years. Wow.
Yeah, it flew by. We've got a lot done, but it's been a good experience, and I think college has done real well.
Yeah,
We got a lot more. We got a lot more to do with Dr. Ulrich coming in as new president.
Well, you know, he's been kind of high profile in our community, and that's good. I think he was in the paper this morning.
Yeah. Talked about his FFA background.
Yeah, and that's important, I think. You know, it's good that he's from our area. He grew up in West Bend, which is a pretty little town. I've been there many, many times. They have a beautiful Catholic church there, and of course, the grotto.
Oh, absolutely. And his family's all up there. So I think, this is a home area for him. So I think he plans to stay for many years.
Well, I sure hope so. He's a good guy the times I've met him, and very bright guy. Very bright
leader. He just, he's very direct, but he also is a consensus builder and wants to get transparency and input from all the staff and faculty. And we're going through a strategic planning process now that will really help guide us for the next 3 to 5 years. And I think it's going to be really well bought into by the team at the college.
Well, you got to have that today. You have to have somebody that can bring people together, especially when, it's large organization management. I think I took a class in that once.
Yeah, no, it's easier said than done, but I think he's got some good experience with the school district superintendent positions and managing different people. And this is a larger organization, but I think he'll do well, and he has a good team with him now.
Jim Kirsten, of course, is down in Des Moines frequently. Are you there now, Jim, or not?
No, actually, I'm in Fort Dodge. They're working on the tax reform. They're hoping to reach an agreement, I understand, this week. And they want to get that finished so then they can go on to the appropriations process. And once that process starts, I'll spend more time down there to try to advocate and get our funding levels where we need to help train the workers in the state.
Yeah, and that's what we desperately need. Again, I don't think it can be mentioned enough. We have plenty of workers. We just don't have enough skilled workers.
Right.
And, there's still plenty of jobs welding. I mean, not everybody can do the type of industrial welding we're talking about. You might,
No, it's amazing. We have about, I think it's now 60 or 70,000 unemployed Iowans with over 100,000 jobs that are open, but they can't match the unemployed with the jobs. So that's our role, is to help get them the skills so they can get these jobs and get off welfare.
Yeah, or get out of a $15 an hour job. Matt
Well,
Beveridge.
get up to 30, or some of these kids are graduating welding and they have to go robotics, whatever. You're making $30, $40 an hour, and that's not too bad for a young guy coming out of college.
And by the way, you don't have a lot of student loan debt. I've said many times that I know a couple of young people went to Iowa State, got jobs in human services, or their major was human services, tried to go to work for the state, and those jobs are $30,000 a year jobs. And that's while you could go to Iowa Central and get some training and make twice that.
Yeah.
So that's a good thing. What is going on as far as our area is concerned in Des Moines? Do you know?
Well, I know Representative Meyer has been working hard on some of her mental health efforts to try to help provide better services to that population, because it's a critical need. And if we don't deal with that issue, then we're going to have much more crowding of our prisons and crime. So that's number one, I think, in her area. And I know Senator Kreinbrink, as chair of the Appropriations Committee, is waiting to see how the tax reform compromise gets settled, and then he'll know how much money they have available to spend over the next year or so. So that's going on. And then locally, we're going to have the Iowa GOP holding a regional event out at Fort Frenzy tomorrow with Senator Ernst as kind of the keynote, and then also Speaker Grassley and Jack Whitford to give, again, their perspective of where they are in the session and where they see this going. I don't see them having a much, real full-on session, but we'll know more tomorrow night after they visit.
Yeah, I look forward to that. I do. And that's at
5:30 at Fort Frenzy. And
Fort Frenzy.
People can buy tickets at the door if they want to come.
That's right.
If nothing else, just listen to some good leaders, and may not agree with all their positions, but at least you'll hear their perspective.
Yes, that's well. Jim, the great secret is no two people think exactly alike. You've been married for years.
Oh, yeah.
You and your wife always think alike? Heck, no, you
Oh,
don't.
God, no. She's right, too. I've learned that.
See, you've learned to be a good husband.
Right. Well, my brother-in-law gave me a plaque when I got married, and it said, "If I'm happy, nobody happy."
Ain't nobody happy.
I need to remember that. And I try to. Every now and then I don't follow that guy. I get myself in trouble. But, anyway, so that's good.
Yeah, I saw
And then,
something.
There's some controversial bills that are going on, and I saw at the Fort Dodge Beaver Day, a former councilperson, John Hale, was critical of some of these more radical issues. But I have to remind everybody, both sides of the aisle have people perceived as radical issues and ideas, and that's democracy. People can introduce and offer ideas, but at the end of the day, a lot of them get flushed out. And we'll see how that all pans out this session. But a lot of the book banning and cameras in the classroom, all those things are dead. I think some of these representatives were hearing some frustrated parents, and so I think that's where a lot of this comes from. It's come from the grassroots. But the process does weed out some of the crazy stuff.
I don't know, Jim. I think this is a very big grassroots problem. When we have the type of books, and Ann Meyer is bringing me a packet of the type of material that has been found in school libraries across our state, and it's nothing to be shoved aside.
No, I think we've talked about it. I agree with you. I wouldn't want that in my children's classroom or library. Those books are in a local district, and those local school boards need to wake up and watch what's being taught and distributed. And at the end of the day, then the local people and parents that are frustrated, like they did out in Virginia, they stood up and said enough, and they tossed out a bunch of incumbents, including the governor that was expected to win, because he said parents don't have a right to talk about curriculum and what's taught in the classroom. Now that's just backwards,
But you're telling me now that that the effort has been dropped to bring state control to some of these obscene materials that are in little kids' libraries?
No, I don't know where they're all going to pan, but at the end of the day, the process will either they'll adapt what someone initially proposed or they'll modify it. But again, I think, it's one of the things John Hale said, and I didn't agree with some of the things he said, but is, Republicans believe in local control, yet on these types of things, they want to go to the staff to assert that local control. And if the school districts aren't doing it, then those local parents need to wake up and make changes on their school boards so that kind of thing isn't distributed. And I think we're lucky in our area of the state. We have really good, solid school board members that are very, on top of it. And I've never heard any complaints in our area.
Well, I've known John quite a long time, since he came to Fort Dodge, as a matter of fact, that his argument rings hollow. I mean, if he really wants local control, let individual counties decide if they're going to have gay marriage or any sorts of things, any social issues. I don't think John would be in favor of that. But when it comes to, frankly, obscene material, John wants to diminish it. That's a mistake on John's part. I know John has kind of taken a liberal turn since he's left our town, and he had a good record as our city councilman. But I thought John was dead wrong.
It might be helpful and helps to have him come on and explain what he's talking about. Because, I've been, even when I was in the legislature, there were complete crazy environmental ideas floating around that could have devastated Iowa agriculture. But at the end of the day, the process, was able to get rid of a lot of those, crazy ideas. Now it's the pendulum swung the other way, and people are, coming out and they're frustrated.
I just want to mention that John and his wife Terry mentioned that there was an attempt to throw sinister teachers in jail. I suppose he's referring to Jake Chapman. Jake Chapman never said that. That is a media meme that got picked up and bounced around. John is flat wrong when he suggests that there are people in the Republican Party or in the state of Iowa that want to throw teachers in jail. It's nonsense. Anyway, yeah.
I hope we can get John on, because it could be nice to hear what his perspective is. And I was thinking too, John, and he doesn't probably want to do it, but his issues are so bad in the Metro Des Moines area or wherever he lives now, run for school board or run for the state legislature and see what the voters say. Will they support you or not? And that's where the unfortunately, some of the folks don't realize the Republicans continue to gain margins in both the House and Senate because Iowas evidently see them as more in line with what they're thinking than the other side. So it is. It's a pendulum that goes back and forth, and I think it'll all end up at the end of the day.
I think probably so. You know, again, I like John Hale, but if he really isn't proud to be an Iowan anymore, maybe he should seek comfort in Florida or some other state. But I was not pleased to see John's rather harsh article in the paper this morning. And frankly, I don't know why the Messenger printed it. But anyway, Jim Kushner is our guest. Yeah, you'll never bring something like that up to me, will you, Jim? Not again.
No, I don't think I would. I never would anyway. I just don't. I'm not an extreme either way. And so, it's the environment we live in today, and I just hope we can get back to stability, that we can agree to disagree without being, personally attacked, and they come out and stake out your home and what have you, like they did with Senator Manchin and
that's ridiculous.
From Arizona. So that's where we got to watch the line, and I hope I'm confident we'll get back there.
The reason I asked John Hale on a few weeks ago, and he did come on, we had plans that he would be on every week, was I got a hold of John and I said, you've taken a liberal turn. I've probably taken a sharper right turn, but our state has become too argumentative. Our country is in chaos because nobody can even talk to anybody. Why don't we try? And he was on with me for an hour. He came here to the studio and we had a good conversation, but I believe there were some health issues in his family that he had to attend to. And so he was only on the one time. But right now I have Laura Bellin of Bleeding Heartland on every Thursday at the 2:00 hour. Now, Laura makes John Hale look like a rock-ribbed Republican. Laura, but she's a very sharp person. She has reasons for thinking the way that she does, and I respect her.
I do. I would respect that. I do.
Yeah, I don't see any reason for a piece like John has written. And if I see him again and he wants to talk about it, I'll tell him exactly that. I just don't see the reason for it. Anyway, Jim, and now that I've got that rant out of my system.
Well, I guess to mention one other thing too. That we're having the Republicans are having their event at Fort Frenzy, and then on Friday morning, Senator Ernst is going to visit the Central Career Academy in Lorenz to see how we're helping that region of Pocahontas County and Northwest Iowa, trying to keep and retain those high school graduates to get into a 2-year program. And so I think she's very excited about what we're doing, and so we're excited about having her come up to Pocahontas as well, and Lorenz.
Well, that will, I'm sure that'll be great for the folks up there. Yeah, Senator Ernst, I believe, is, I might have this wrong, but I believe she's trying to do what Senator Grassley has always done, and that's visit all 99 counties every year.
I think she is, and I think she's done it since she's been elected. So she's on that route for this year already, and we hope to have her back in the region again. But she'll be in Fort Dodge tomorrow afternoon and night, and then Pocahontas County, and I don't know where else she's going after that.
All right.
She invited her to this year's on Saturday, but I don't think her schedule won't allow it.
No, I'm supposed to talk to her early Friday before she leaves town. So
good.
I got I talked with her media guys, and yeah, she's going to be here for the night, and then I'll talk with her. Or maybe I'll try to get out there tomorrow night and talk to her then.
Okay, well, good luck, and maybe I'll see you tomorrow night, and thanks for having me on.
All right, thank you, Jim. This is AM 1400 KVFT, the voice of Fort Dodge.
Or to improve modern medicine or personal hygiene. Actually, it's both. But considering that bathing went mainstream in the 1800s and brushing your teeth in the 1900s, isn't it time for something new, like cleaning your nose? After all, your nose is the body's air filter for trapping dirt and germs, the first line of defense against allergens, bacteria, and viruses from getting into your lungs. But how do you clean your nose? With Novage. Novage isn't medicine, it's more like plumbing. Novage uses powered suction to pull saline in one nostril to the very back of the nose where germs can get trapped and multiply, and then out the other nostril, flushing out mucus and microbes so you can breathe better, sleep deeper, snore less, and stay healthier. Join over 2 million others and find out for yourself how refreshing and easy to use Novage is. At Novage.com, Walgreens, CVS, Rite Aid, Bed Bath, and Target. Novage. Clean nose, healthy life. I'm Maria Bartiromo, and this is the Fox Business Report. Stocks continue their downward spiral, with the Dow and NASDAQ suffering the fifth session of losses and the S&P 500 deepening its slide into correction territory as fears mount of a full-scale Russian invasion of Ukraine. The Dow falling 465 points, the NASDAQ down 344, S&P 500 down 79. An eBay stock is tumbling after hours. The online marketplace reported a 10% decline in the value of goods it sold. That's the third consecutive quarter of declines, which the company attributes to changing consumer behavior. And rental car company Hertz Global Holdings said revenue rose in the latest quarter as the company managed its fleet levels amid a recovery in travel demand. And Ford's chief executive Jim Farley says it isn't so and is denying reports that the automaker intends to spin off its electric vehicle business. That's your Fox Business Report. I'm Hillary Barsky, invested in you.
Mikey!
Hey, kid, how you doing?
There was a high-speed chase.
Oh,
so I
there
came
is?
back in. It's done.
Oh,
Police in custody, or the person in custody, so that's good.
you want to come in and talk about it?
Sure. Oh,
All
heck
right.
yeah.
We love high speed.
I do. And nobody was hurt, I don't think. So that's good.
We'll just have a minute here.
Yep, I'll just say it quick.
This is AM 1400, KVFD, the voice of Fort Dodge 456. We're going to go now to our news director, Brooke Bickford, who has a story. How you doing, Brooke?
Hi, Mike. Well, there was a high-speed chase. It started at about 4 o'clock this afternoon in Webster County.
It wasn't me, was it?
It was not. You've
All
been
right.
sitting here. I've been making sure.
All
So
right.
it started in Webster County, crossed over to Calhoun County. The police were on hot pursuit. I mean, they stuck with
This
this
the
driver.
police or the county sheriff?
The county, I believe the county sheriff, all the details I have are from the Webster County scanner right now, and I'm
Okay.
getting verification from our Iowa State Patrol source. And it ended up with the car driving through a cornfield, a white Cadillac, and it was on fire at about 4:30, and the guy was in custody. It was a man that was apprehended, and I'm not sure what they were chasing him for, but the speeds were at least 110 at one time. So he was going on Highway 20, turned off on Highway 4, and ended up in a cornfield where it stopped. So about a half hour of a pursuit. So
Wow, we had fun.
yes.
So the suspects then is in custody?
Yep, in custody.
All right.
Yep, took
And
care of it.
And we'll hear more about that from you, won't we?
Yes, we
All
will.
right.
I'll get you caught up tomorrow.
Thank you, Brooke. This is AM 1400, KVFD.
That was fun though. It was
Mhm.
fun to listen to.
Oh, I bet
I
it
have
was.
my neighbor is such a nerd and he's great. So anytime he hears anything, he listens to the scanner. He's like, Brooke, this is happening.
This is happening. I should get a scanner again.
Oh, they're fun.
Oh, they are.
Well, get that app on your phone, Mike. That little scanner app, because you can hear everything.
Really?
Yes. It's
know
it's
it.
better than even
What,
the
you
scanner.
just go to scanner or what?
So go in your apps, like, yep, and then go. I'll wait till you're done, but
Yeah.
I can help you with it tomorrow or
hang on
something.
just a second. I got a 15-second spot to play and then news. All right, this is AM 1400, KVFD, the voice of Fort Dodge. This program has been brought to you today by Blue Ribbon Pelham Waters at 612 South 32nd Street here in Fort Dodge. You may contact Blue Ribbon Pelham Waters by calling 576-6481 or online at www.fdwater.com. And I can guarantee you we're going to have Senator Jake Chapman on the air, hopefully in the next couple of days, so he can tell us whether he ever threatened to throw school teachers in jail. That's a rumor going around our state. It's been put out there by the media at the behest probably of the Democratic Party. But we're going to have Chapman on, and then we're going to try to track this rumor down that he ever suggested school teachers be thrown in jail. It's 5 o'clock. You're listening to KVFD in Fort Dodge, Iowa. I'm talking about this idiot John Hale in the newspaper today.
Oh, is he the one that said it? That he was going to throw teachers in jail?
Well, that's what's alleged.
Your station.
Yeah.
Not true. I have an interview with Chapman here somewhere. And he never said.
No. Well,
Ukraine. I'm Lisa Sarah, Fox News. This coming is Russian.
it's almost the rumor gets out there though, and people believe it without
Yeah.
checking though,
Yeah. Oh, yes, it happens all the
which
time.
sucks.
And the messenger's too stupid to really check on Hales.
Any details?
Peace. So I'll get Chapman on. If he denies it, ever saying it, good. But if he says he said it, then I'm going to look like an idiot.
There's no way he's gonna say he said it, even if he did.
Come here. Okay, scanner.
Yes. So scanner.
What the hell is this? Scanner. Time I try to go to this anymore.
Oh, it's putting in a scanner app. So what would it be called? Scanner radio.
Scanner radio.
Yeah.
All right. Scanner radio.
Yes,
Great.
it's that one, the orange one.
This one up here?
No,
The second one.
the second one.
Well, that's perfect.
That is perfect. And so what you'll do is it'll ask you your area because you could listen to Chicago. You can listen everywhere.
Wow.
But put Webster County in because that'll give you everything that we
Sheriff.
have. Yep. So the Webster County, and then it'll drain your battery. So you'll have to, if you have it on all day, it would drain your battery. But it's so fun to listen to.
That's great.
Like
Thank you,
that Hot Pursuit was fun.
I bet it was, yeah.
Bye.
Bye. Mm-hmm.